All right, so today we're going to deep dive into, well, it's all about the subtle things women notice about men.
Interesting.
Yeah, we found this article, and honestly, the title is like peak clickbait. 99% of men don't know women are checking this out.
Oh,
But,
I've seen that one floating around.
yeah. But you know what? Buried in all the hype, there are some pretty interesting observations.
Yeah, I think what really struck me about that piece was how much it kind of reveals about the whole world of nonverbal communication.
It's like everyone's sending out signals all the time without even knowing it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So today we're going to be like those code breakers, cracking the code, figuring out what these subtle cues are really saying.
I love it.
And we're going to start with overall appearance now before you think this is all about, expensive clothes or chiseled abs or whatever.
Right.
It's actually a lot more nuanced than that.
Yeah, the article talks about how it's more about showing you've put some thought into your look. Like it's not about perfection, it's about self-respect, really.
Yeah, like showing up to a date in a wrinkled shirt from yesterday. Not exactly a good first impression, huh?
Probably not a good look.
And they use the example of like a crisp collar or, a freshly ironed shirt, just something that says, hey, I care about the details.
It shows intentionality, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's amazing how those little things can really impact a first impression. And that's actually where something called the halo effect comes into play.
Oh, the halo effect. Yeah, I've heard of that.
So have you ever you walk into a room and you see someone who just looks really sharp and together, and you kind of automatically assume they've got other positive qualities too, like they're competent or intelligent, even trustworthy.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the halo effect in action, right? It's this psychological phenomenon where one positive trait kind of spills over and influences how we perceive someone's whole character.
So it's not just about vanity, it's really about how these visual cues shape people's perceptions of us.
Exactly. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so the next one, this one I was not expecting. It's shoes. Apparently shoes are a bigger deal than I thought.
Oh, yeah. Shoes are a gold mine of information.
Really?
Think about it. They can tell you so much about someone's lifestyle, personality, even their socioeconomic status.
Okay, so what am I looking for here?
Well, are they clean? Are they polished? Do they match the occasion? All those things send signals.
Wait, shoes? Seriously?
The article says you'd be amazed how much women can tell just from looking at your footwear. And I think there's something to that.
This is making me think about that time I wore like hiking boots to a friend's fancy birthday dinner.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not my best fashion moment.
We've all been there.
Okay, so moving on from footwear, let's talk about something that I think is really, truly important, and that's how you treat other people.
Now we're talking, yes.
The article actually goes so far as to say this is the most important factor of all.
It makes sense, though, right? I mean, think about it. If someone can't even be bothered to be polite to a server, for example, what does that tell you about how they might handle stress or conflict in a relationship?
Yeah, I think that's a major red flag.
Yeah,
So it's about basic respect and kindness, regardless of someone's job title.
exactly.
And the article specifically mentions watching how a guy treats waiters or cashiers. It's like a little window into their character.
I think it goes even deeper than that. I mean, observing how someone behaves towards others, especially in service roles, it gives you a real glimpse into their values, their empathy, and, even their potential for future behavior.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
All right, so let's lighten things up a bit here and talk about the power of a smile.
Oh, a smile, yeah.
I know it sounds super simple, but the article describes a genuine smile as, projecting confidence, warmth, positivity.
And those are all qualities that people are naturally drawn to, right?
Yeah. I remember this one time I was at a networking event and I was so nervous, and this person just smiled at me and it completely changed my mood.
Oh, that's so nice.
It just instantly put me at ease.
Yeah, there's something incredibly disarming about a genuine smile, right? It just creates an instant connection and it fosters a sense of trust. Like it's a universal language of kindness.
Okay, this next one might seem a little strange, but apparently lips are something women notice.
Lips. Interesting.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Hmm.
The article states that the condition of your lips says a lot, and I'm thinking, really? What could my lips possibly be saying?
Well, think about it. Dry, chapped lips, especially during the colder months, can signal a lack of self-care, can't they?
I never thought about that.
It's a subtle thing, but it speaks to your overall grooming habits and just your attention to detail.
So it's like a little way of saying, hey, I care about how I present myself.
Exactly. It's about putting your best foot forward.
All right, on to another interesting point, and this is scent. The article claims it's one of the most powerful and memorable things about a person.
Scent is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so closely tied to memory. Certain smells can trigger such vivid memories and emotions, you know?
Yeah, and I guess that's why a clean, fresh scent can leave such a positive and lasting impression even after you've left the room.
Exactly. And the article makes it clear that it's not about dousing yourself in cologne or anything like that. It's more about a subtle, pleasant fragrance that signals good hygiene and, awareness of your impact on others.
All right, and finally we come to another detail. I was not expecting this one, and that is hands. Who knew hands could be so significant?
Well, the article says, and I quote, "Women often notice the condition of a guy's hands because it says a lot about him."
Okay, but what are we talking about here? Like, what kind of hands are we looking at?
Well, think about it. Your hands are one of the primary ways you interact with the world, aren't they?
That's true.
So, well-maintained hands, trimmed nails, moisturized skin, they all kind of signal an attention to detail and a certain level of self-care. And that can be very attractive.
Well, and it shows you're ready for that hand-holding moment.
Right. That's
Just putting that out there.
Exactly. Sometimes these seemingly insignificant details can have a big impact.
Yeah, for sure.
They can really influence attraction and comfort levels.
Interesting. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from clothes to shoes to the way we treat others, even down to our hands and our scent.
It's like we're piecing together this puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's all these seemingly small details
Yeah.
that actually paint a bigger picture of who we are, even if we're not always conscious of it.
Right. And I think the article makes a really important point, which is that it's not about striving for some unattainable level of perfection.
But it's not about trying to be someone you're not.
Exactly. It's not about conforming to some rigid ideal.
So if you're naturally a thoughtful person, let that show through in how you treat others.
Yeah, if you value attention to detail, let that come through in how you present yourself.
It's about being genuine, isn't it?
It is. It's about authenticity. And you know what? Authenticity is magnetic. It's
Right.
about being comfortable in your own skin and letting your true personality shine through. And that's what truly connects with people.
And this goes way beyond just romantic relationships, right?
Oh, absolutely.
These principles apply to friendships, professional settings, even just how we interact with strangers in everyday life.
Yeah, any interaction, really.
It's like being mindful of our appearance and our behavior can have this ripple effect. It can lead to more positive interactions and stronger connections with everyone we encounter.
That's a beautiful thought.
Going through all of this is kind of making me hyper aware of the signals I might be sending out without even realizing it.
I know what you mean. It's like this whole other layer of communication that we don't always think about.
Yeah, exactly. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
It's like we're all speaking this secret language, but now we're finally starting to understand the rules.
And the more we understand that language, the better we can connect with each other, right?
I think so. So for our listener out there who's been with us on this deep dive, what's the key takeaway here? What can they do with this information?
Well, I think the most important thing is just to become aware of the subtle signals you're sending out. Through your appearance and your behavior, pay attention to the details, make an effort to present yourself authentically, and treat everyone with respect and kindness.
And never underestimate the power of a genuine smile.
Oh, absolutely. A smile can make all the difference.
All right, this has been so eye-opening.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much about the hidden messages we send and receive in everyday life.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Now I'm curious to hear from our listeners out there what stood out to you. What are some of the subtle cues you've noticed in your own life, and how have they impacted your interactions with others?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, we've covered quite a bit, haven't we?
We have. From clothing to shoes to how we treat people, even our hands and how we smell. It's wild.
It really is. It's like all these little pieces fitting together to tell a story about who we are.
Exactly. Yeah. And even if we don't realize it, we're sending out all these signals. But the article makes a good point, though. It's not about being perfect.
Right. It's not about trying to be some, ideal version of ourselves that doesn't even exist.
Totally. So, if you're naturally a thoughtful person, let that show. Be kind.
If you like things to be in order and care about details, let that show too. In how you dress or approach things.
It all comes back to authenticity, doesn't it?
It does. And, authenticity is what really draws people in. Being comfortable with who you are, that's magnetic.
I love that. And that goes for way more than just dating, right?
Absolutely. This applies to everything. Friendships, work, even just how we interact with people in everyday life.
Yeah, like you're saying, these principles are universal. It's about putting your best self forward in every situation.
And when we do that, it creates this ripple effect.
Yeah.
We have more positive interactions, deeper connections with everyone.
Man, this is making me think about all the signals I might be unconsciously sending out.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's like this whole other level of communication we've been engaging in without even realizing it.
Totally. Like learning a secret language, right?
And the more we understand it, the more effectively we can communicate and connect with the people around us, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
100%. So for our listener, what's the biggest takeaway here? How can they use this info?
I think the most important thing is just becoming aware. Paying attention to those subtle details in your appearance and behavior, make a conscious effort to be genuine, and treat everyone with respect and kindness.
And don't forget to smile.
Oh, absolutely. A simple smile can be so powerful.
This deep dive has been eye-opening for me, honestly. It's like I've got a whole new understanding of how much we communicate without ever saying a word.
It really is fascinating stuff. It's always a pleasure diving into these hidden layers of human behavior.
Right. So for those listening, we want to hear from you. What stood out to you from all this? What subtle cues have you noticed in your own life?
How have those cues shaped your interactions? Let us know.
The thing that really strikes me about all this is that it's not about manipulating people or trying to be someone you're not. It's not about tricks or tactics.
That's such an important point, yeah. It's not about putting on some kind of facade. It's about making sure that how you present yourself to the world, how you look and act, it's congruent with who you are on the inside.
Yeah, it's like, if you're a caring person, then let that show in how you treat others, right? If you're someone who values paying attention to details, let that shine through in your appearance, how you approach things.
Exactly. It's about authenticity, being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think when people sense that, that genuineness, that's when real attraction happens.
It's almost like you're saying, hey, this is me, take it or leave it. And that confidence, that realness, I think that's attractive in itself.
Absolutely. People are drawn to authenticity. It's refreshing. It's reassuring. And this goes way beyond just, the dating scene. These subtle cues, they influence how people see us, what they think of us in every area of life.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like imagine a job interview, right? Same principles apply how you dress, your handshake, eye contact, energy level.
Oh, for sure. Walk into that interview with confidence, good handshake, genuine smile. That sets a positive tone right away. It tells the interviewer you're prepared, engaged, enthusiastic.
Even just remembering to put on some hand lotion before an important meeting could make a difference.
Right. It's about demonstrating respect for yourself and the person you're with, showing up as the best version of you, no matter the situation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we kind of want to leave our listener with something to think about, a challenge almost.
I like that. Food for thought.
What are the signals you're sending out, not just in your dating life, but everywhere? What message are you sending with your clothes, your body language, how you treat others? What's the story you're telling without even realizing it?
It's a good question, isn't it? Do those cues match the image you want to project? Do they align with your values? Are you putting your best self forward?
And if not, what are some small things you can do to change that? Remember, it doesn't have to be some huge overhaul. It's about making that effort, being self-aware, paying attention to those little details that can end up having a big impact.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has been a really insightful conversation. I always love exploring these less obvious parts of human behavior.
Me too. And for our listeners, remember, you have the power to create amazing first impressions and build strong connections. It's literally in your hands and figuratively. Thanks for joining us today on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.